Hello there, my name is Helen Willis. I am the founder of Soothing Stress Strategies. I would like to tell you about why I became a stress management consultant and why I created Soothing Stress Strategies. And to do that, I need to take you back to the very beginning, back to my childhood. I've always been interested in people. I've always wanted to understand what made them tick. And this started from a very early age when I suddenly became very ill with meningitis and all my hearing was destroyed. My world became silent. The only way I could even begin to understand people was to watch their body language and to observe their behaviour. And that was when my fascination in people was born. I lived in silence for almost 2 years until I had an operation, a cochlear implant, which restored some of my hearing. So gradually I found I was able to understand what people said and I was able to speak myself. But it was hard work. And I still found myself watching people very closely in order to really understand what was going on. And this need to understand people eventually morphed into a love of psychology and then into a love of neuroscience. So that's the study of the inner workings of the human brain. I managed to succeed in getting a place to study physiology and psychology at Oxford University, St John's College. I graduated with first class honours and I stayed on to pursue a master's in neuroscience. So I had 4 magical and fascinating years at Oxford studying how the human mind worked. However, at the end of all this time, I still had questions. I particularly wanted to understand how the brain reacts when there are extra demands. For example, the extra work my brain was having to do in order to understand what I was hearing through my cochlear implant. And this work is known as cognitive load. I was lucky enough to get a PhD research scholarship at UCL, so University College London, to study cognitive load. And the next 4 years were an amazing time. I travelled the world talking to experts and eventually presenting my own research at conferences in Europe and America. As I did my research, I started to find answers that I needed. I began to understand the connection between putting too many demands on the brain and the consequences of that on physical and mental health. I had noticed changes in my own health when I left school. It started with tiredness, but then I began to suffer from other symptoms. Initially, these symptoms were quite subtle. So, for example, I was prone to feeling cold and then having poor circulation in my fingers and my toes. I caught colds and viruses quite easily too. But then the symptoms worsened. I began to suffer from joint pain and joint stiffness and also water retention. My gut became unusually irritable and I developed dietary sensitivities I never had before. My mental health also deteriorated. I am already a perfectionist in nature, but I soon developed obsessive compulsive thoughts and the occasional bout of intense anxiety. My problems reached their peak by the time I was in London undertaking my PhD, to the point where my periods had actually stopped. My menstrual cycle was completely disrupted and I stopped ovulating. However, thanks to my PhD research, I eventually realised that all of these physical and mental health problems that I was suffering from was a direct consequence of too much cognitive load, which was causing chronic stress. So all my health problems were stress related. So as soon as I completed my PhD, I began to study again, but this time trying to find ways to counteract this effect of stress and to improve my health. With my knowledge of physiology, psychology and neuroscience, I sought out therapies that I believed had the best chance of breaking this cycle of cognitive overload and ill health. And as a result, I am now trained and licensed to deliver a wide range of therapeutic techniques. This includes specialist breathing techniques, so breath coaching, as well as the clever use of acupressure points, so that's emotional freedom techniques, as well as hypnotherapy. At first, it was almost physician heal thyself. I was just trying to find ways to help my mind and my body heal. And I experimented with different techniques and different combinations until I found the ones that worked best and made me feel better. The demands in my life hadn't changed, but I was helping my body cope with them so that I was no longer becoming so tired and my physical and mental health could improve. And I'm now confident that these techniques can really help others. You just need the right combination. There are so many demands and pressures in our everyday lives. It's easy to become overwhelmed, and this leads not only to stress, but also it has consequences physically and mentally, simply because we are being required to take on too much cognitive load. So what I've learned is that although it is difficult to reduce the demand and the stress in our mad, crazy lives, you can reduce the damage to your health. You can reduce the impact if you use the right soothing stress strategies. You can feel better, you can cope with stress better, and you can look after yourself too. You just need the right tools and the right techniques that work best for you. And that is why I have become a stress management consultant. And that is why I would like to help you if you are willing to let me try. If you're interested in learning about more, then please go to my website at soothingstressstrategies.com. Goodbye for now.